Good afternoon. Happy Friday, Miami sports fans. Welcome back to the Miami Sports Break. David Eversole, as always, joined by Jakari Givens. And man, in the middle, we got a special guest with us today, Alfredo Arteaga of 3 Yards Per Carry and the 5 Reasons Sports Network, here to talk some Fins. But before we start, real quick, want to mention one of our fantastic sponsors here at the network, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Great local sponsor, really a part of the sports community and the South Florida community in general. So make sure you support our sponsors. That in turn supports us. Want to thank them for being a big part. www.biscaynebaybrewing.com/beer finder to find where they're at in your area. Gentlemen, what's going on? Thanks for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. You got a happy Friday. So a lot going on for late February in terms of NFL talk. Obviously, we know the Heat and the Panthers to an extent are dominating the landscape, but seems like every day on social media in particular, you got something going on with rumors and talks. Now it's Russell Wilson. So wanted to get Alfredo on with us today to sort of take us through some of these things. So want to start with you about the rumors lately with Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, of course, and how that is impacting Tua. What do you think in the mind of Tua? Obviously, purely speculative, but what do you think goes through a quarterback? You just took him in the first round last year. Now he's hearing all this noise on social media. What do you think of all that in terms of how it might impact Tua?
I think it should motivate him, but it's also a shot across the bow that you weren't good enough last year. So I think if you're Tua Tagovailoa, you're hitting the classroom hard, because I think some of his problems down the stretch were as far as reading defenses and not taking some of the things that were actually given to him. But I think more than that, I think he has to work on his body. He has to work with timing with some, and I think he's doing that, by the way, with his wide receivers now. And I think he has to have a very busy offseason to have a better sophomore year than he did this past year.
And I've seen, obviously, the things on social media with him training. It looks like he's putting on a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle, getting that full off-season workout program. Jock, obviously, you're a former D1 high-level athlete. What do you think about the mental aspect of Tua with all this other stuff going on around him? You think he's just focused on the work and trying to improve, like Alf says, or do you think it maybe plants a little seed in the back of his mind as well?
Well, let's just call it what it is. Tua is probably one of the strongest-minded quarterbacks to probably come out in recent history. He played at one of the most storied college factories ever. He went through adversity there. He had the high ankle sprain. I think his sophomore year, junior year, he had a bad hip injury. And I don't really see it phasing him. This is every year's quarterback talk. If you don't play well at the quarterback position, you're the first one under fire. So I don't feel like it, but I think to Al's point, I think he's just in the lab. I think he's grinding. This is the first year. Last year he was hurt. He was nursing his injury. So now I think he's able to just finally do some of the things he needs to do to be an NFL quarterback. Some of it was him, but some of the things were his playmakers around him as well. So you just have to build off that. Obviously, for the Dolphins and for the talk of the conversation, if Deshaun Watson is there, obviously you trade for him. And if he's available, yes, that makes sense, because Deshaun Watson is what we are. We know he's a top 5 quarterback. Tua, we're hoping. But do I think Tua has all the skill to be a top 5 quarterback? Yes, because he's proven every level he's been doubted, he's made a believer out of everyone. And also, if you talk to Jalen Hurts about Tua, he will tell you Tua helped him be an NFL quarterback, because Tua put pressure on him to get better. So I don't see it as anything. I think at Alabama the competition was strong, so I think he's ready for it, and it's whatever for him. I think he's just building his offseason. He's grinding. He's already been in the lab, as you can tell from the pictures on social media. He's working on his body. I think he just needs to get back to what he knows. And the biggest thing for him is to take this offseason as a preseason as well, because he can just get in the lab. A lot of his stuff was reads last year where he was missing some things. Receivers, it was a lot. So we'll see where he goes with it. He has a new OC, obviously. Let's just see if he can build off of it. And I think this team is geared towards him being more successful this upcoming season.
Yeah. Alf, I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think is the ideal offseason for the Dolphins? Obviously, I believe free agency opens on March 17th. and then you've got that time
Right.
leading up to the draft. If you were calling the shots, what would be your general direction, you think, between March leading up to the draft? What are your thoughts on how the Dolphins should go?
I think it should be a one-on-one approach, meaning in free agency you go hunting for some help at wide receiver, but I don't think they're going to necessarily go crazy. I really do like Josh Reynolds, and I think that's a guy that they might look at, wide receiver from the LA Rams. That's a guy that could supplement the wide receiver core, and then I would take another one in the draft and basically call it a day. Maybe a developmental guy later on in the draft. So that's three guys on the offensive side of the ball. I think they need a running back. I think they need an ace back, and if they're going to go after Aaron Jones, that's one thing. I guess that frees them up to do a lot of other things in the draft. But if not, I would target Najee Harris or Javonte Williams. Either one, I think, would be a great get, even high, even at 18 or 36.
Yeah, I like Javonte Williams a lot too. I think he's slowly starting to work his way up a lot of boards and might even creep up into that late first round discussion as well. I mean, it's not a real deep class at the running back spot, but I know Jock and I have talked about this in depth. The Aaron Jones thing. I mean, he immediately kind of elevates your offense to the next level in both the running and the passing game. And we've always discussed that the Dolphins have a lot of number two running backs. I mean, he comes in and from day one, he's the clear alpha. Whereas Najee Harris, I mean, obviously he has the highest upside of anybody you bring in. But, I mean, there's still going to be a little bit more of a competition. I think running backs are more ready from day one to kind of take the role. You've seen it with guys like Jonathan Taylor this year. He took a minute to get going, but he really kind of sort of earned that draft grade. Jakari, I know Aaron Jones has been a big focal point of a lot of our discussions, but if they don't take him, what do you think they should do in free agency otherwise?
Well, I'm in agreement with Alf there because I tweeted out this as the same. I do think they should double down at whatever they sign in free agency, but I do think the center position should be addressed. I like Kelsey from Philadelphia if he's released. I would love it. Or Lindsley from the Packers if the Packers are expected to move on from him. So I would like that. And then you draft a Creed Humphrey if you sign these guys to – it's going to be a lot of one-year deals in free agency this year just due to the salary cap situation. That and then I also would just use some of the draft picks to target some guys like the Tyler Lockett talk. Tyler Lockett would be a great addition to the offense at receiver, and you can draft them. I think that I don't like. I want Aaron Jones, but a lot of people are against it. But I'm just for this running backs. People say you don't need them, but you need them. They're quality backs. I know people was looking at this like the pay grade of some of these guys from the last couple of Super Bowl champions. But you look at the last two. Damian Williams is not a slouch. He's a good running back. He's a solid one running back. He can run the football, catch the ball out of the backfield. And then you also look at Leonard Fournette, who is a top 5 pick, a former top 5 pick. He just had a down year in Jacksonville. They released him. He went to Tampa Bay. So the talent level is always there. Damian Williams was a first-round running back at Oklahoma. It's just he got kicked off the team. I remember playing against him when I was at Kansas. Like we knew he was a good back. So I'm for it. And if they draft a running back, Najee Harris is a good guy. I like another guy that's people don't talk about is Khalil Herbert too. I like Khalil Herbert as well. And a guy from Kansas, Puka Williams, will also help the Dolphins offense as well. He's a good pass catch out of the backfield, very explosive. So Miami has a plethora of options, but we know if they do one in free agency, they're not doing the other in the draft. So we kind of know what it's going to be like soon as we in free agency. If we sign a receiver, obviously the need is going to go down. But I want to ask Alf this. I know Devontae Smith has been the topic. I've seen a couple of mocks have him falling out the top 10. If he falls all the way down to 18, would you double down? Say you took Chase at 3. Would you double down with Smith at 18?
I think he becomes BPA at 18. I don't see how he's not the best player available at 18. So you gotta take him. And if you really don't like him, if he's really not on your board and that there's something about him that you just don't like, then you just got to trade that pick because there's going to be, I think the entire league will try to get into 18 to try to take Devonta Smith. So, yeah, that's one of those situations where you just got to, what are you going to do about it? You just got to do it. You just got to take him. He's BPA. and especially at 18, great value.
I'm not in agreement with those guys who say he's not. I don't understand if Jamar Chase and him and Chase had similar seasons. He broke all Chase records from the previous year. I don't understand why he's falling down the boards. I understand size is a problem, but this is football. The guy that made it all the way through probably the hardest competition you can play in college football, the closest thing to the NFL. And if he's at 3, if the Dolphins trade out of 3 and he's at 6 or 7, you take him. Obviously, I would love Jalen Waddle. But if you acquire a Tyler Lockett, you can't like Waddle would kind of be redundancy at that point because Lockett is very explosive too. But I like Smith. I like him more than I like Chase. I don't think Chase fits what the Dolphins need right now, especially at number 3. I just think that Smith and Waddle are the better fits for the offense. But I also like Marvin Jones Jr. From the Lions as well as another like low key signing for the Dolphins as well.
Yeah, I like Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is sneaky productive. If you look him up and you look at his yards per target, I think he's one of only like 8 guys in the entire league that has a consistent 9 yards per target. If you think about that stat, Devontae Parker's last year, not 2020, but 2019, when he had that elite year, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. That was the first year that he had 9 yards per target. That's something that Julio Jones has done his entire career. Those are elite production numbers. Marvin Jones has consistently done that. Yeah, the only issue I see is maybe it's attractive for Marvin Jones to go out west to California with Matt Stafford. That's the only fear I see.
I like the Josh Reynolds pickup too. I think he's a good player. He was at once a first-round pick at Texas A&M, but I think his junior year he had like a down year because it was comparing him to Mike Evans, how Mike Evans was producing at Texas A&M. So Josh Reynolds had an okay NFL career, but I think he could thrive if he was a number 2 or number 3 guy. I do think I want to ask you this as well, Dave, and to you. If you add these pieces, do you trade Devontae Parker?
I don't. I don't trade Devontae Parker because I think he's good value right now. I think for his production and his price tag, you really can't complain. You're actually getting above par production for what he gets paid, and that's what what he gets paid right now for his production is what every GM sits down in front when they sit down in front of their computer and they try to build their perfect team. They're saying, I want to pay exactly this for this type of production. So, you're not overpaying, you're not underpaying. As of late, he's playing injured, and he's kind of a leader in that group. So, yeah, I wouldn't trade him. But he's not, he's not here for long, though. But he'll play next year. If I'm in charge, he plays next year.
We had a question here. Does Najee Harris go before 18? I mean, it's entirely possible, obviously, if some defensive guys maybe go ahead of him, but I think he's probably still going to be there at 18.
Nah, Najee Harris ain't going nowhere. I think Najee Harris' ceiling is probably from 18 on down. There's too many other good players in front of him, too many quarterback needy teams in front of him. And also after that, you got Patrick Surtain II, who people aren't talking about, who can, possibly fall in draft. And I'm not opposed to Miami taking him at 18 if he falls there as well.
That would be a miracle.
He could be a BPA as well. Yeah, Patrick Surtain could easily be a BPA.
Somebody's gonna fall though.
Oh, they always do. Micah Parsons, somebody's gonna drop out of that for sure. But Alf, what is your ideal use of the 3rd pick for the Dolphins?
If they have to use the 3rd pick, so that means that they're actually going to draft somebody at number 3?
Yeah, they actually got to take somebody. They're going to just go ahead and just stay where they're at.
Okay, the guy who's most worthy of the 3rd overall pick is probably Penny Sewell.
Oh my God! Thank you, Al. Please,
but
ring to the curtains one more time. Say it one more time for us.
It's Penny Sewell. That's who's actually worth the 3rd overall pick. And my preference would be like they look at the landscape and they say, you know what, man, we could get a lot for this pick. Let's keep this gravy train rolling. And I'd talk to Carolina and say, man, give me your pick. I think they're picking 7th, right, or 8th? 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I thought it was 8. Yeah.
Carolina, you know what? Give me number 8 and give me your first round of next year, and you get your quarterback right here.
And,
Yeah, there you
and
go.
and and another team that could be looking for a quarterback is Philadelphia. That's another team that's at 6 who kind of can sneak up there. You can go ahead and get a player out of the deal as well, because they're gonna give. They have to. The Saints have to trade some players, so the trade market is gonna be very strong. You can look at adding depending on what happens. Uh, I don't know if they would trade Brandon Graham, but Graham would be a good help for a team like Miami to come be an edge rusher. But Philadelphia is a quarterback needy team. We don't know if they believe in Jalen Hurts, just because it's a new staff. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, but I think it's really, really attractive to try to pull some type of trade like that where you actually keep the gravy train rolling one more year.
Mhm.
You'll have 3 years in a row of two
two
first
first
round
round
picks.
picks.
And Miami's
Yeah.
in a great situation because they're one of the few teams with not only high end salary cap space, but also high end draft capital. So they've got the best of both worlds. And it gives them so much flexibility in the free agent market, in the draft. And I think this third pick is it's just right to be traded and just double down, like you said. It's one of those things where Miami can probably get who they want at that 8th spot. One of the top wide receivers, somebody like that. But I want to switch real quick to defense. Alf, do you think there's anybody in particular that Miami should target on defense in free agency or high in round 1 or round 2? Like maybe somebody that wouldn't be expected?
Uh, High in round one. And look, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. And I got to give credit to Simon Clancy. He said it on the pod. He said he wouldn't be surprised one bit if they come out of this draft with Penny Sewell and then they take Zayvon Collins with number 18. Like that's something that can actually happen. So as far as in free agency, I think some of the guys that are attractive are going to be really expensive. I thought that this JJ Watt thing was going to be a little bit simpler, but supposedly he's getting offers
From
around
15 to
15,
seeing.
$16 million. You know what I mean? That's just
That's
too
too
much
much.
money.
Yeah.
We talked about it also on the podcast. Jadeveon Clowney, they liked Jadeveon Clowney. For a fact, they revisited him twice. Maybe they tried a third time, and maybe this time he'll agree, and maybe this time he's cheaper.
Yes, his numbers was too high for Miami the last time around. That's been the whole thing with the trade when they was trying to trade from in Houston. That was the biggest thing when the numbers was too high. To add to Al, Von Miller's gonna get released, so I like Von Miller. I actually absolutely love Von Miller fit. And in the draft, a guy they like I love Xavier Collins because he's a fit. But the linebacker Jeremiah from Notre Dame, I can't really say his last name because
Owusu.
yeah,
Lot of vowels.
yes,
Yeah.
he's actually another solid player that will fit in Flores. Him and Xavier Collins are pretty much the same type of player. I think Jeremiah from Notre Dame is a little bit more athletic and explosive. So that's a guy I wouldn't be surprised if they added. Like I would be if they get him. That's like a perfect Dolphins fit, and I like his fit in Miami as well. Him and Xavier Collins is about the same. Do you think they should address more D line help this year too?
Yeah, I think that they're pretty light there. I like what they have at defensive tackle. I love Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer, especially with this new contract that they gave him, that's a steal.
It's a steal.
And I really love what Christian Wilkins came out with as far as his second year. I thought was great. And Raekwon Davis, I think Raekwon Davis has the arrow pointing up, and he's probably the most likely to be a star in that front line. But
Correct.
I would say, yeah, they need some depth at defensive end. And I would look for a zero. I would look for a true nose tackle somewhere. He has to be out there to try to spell Raekwon Davis a little bit and free him up to do some of the things that they want to do with him. But another guy that we have to look at as far as in the draft is we got to remember what happened at the Senior Bowl. Brian Flores, he gravitates toward DBs, and nobody gravitated more toward DeMar Hamlin than Brian Flores. He made him captain of the secondary, had him calling all the defenses on game day. He was the only guy who came off the sideline to high five him, started smiling with him, gave him a hug. It's obvious Brian Flores plays favorites, and there's certain guys that are like his projects. I think DeMar Hamlin's a guy that you could be looking at with a top 100 pick.
Yeah, and you need more DBs in this NFL today. They have to have numbers of DBs. I like him. Uh, I like JC Horn too. If he falls into the second round, because I think he's the best corner in the draft. I think his film is amazing from what I've seen. He has great motor mirror skills. He's very scrappy, very competitive person. So I think I love him and I love his game. If he falls in that second round, I think you can take a flyer on him as well. So, um, and I like the kid from Michigan too, the pass rusher pay, but I just don't think he makes it to. I don't think he makes it out the top 15.
We had
Yeah,
some good questions too.
yeah, and you got to think about the Dolphins are really thinking about. I don't think about 2021. I think Bobby McCain and Eric Rowe remain in 2021, but 2022 you could have both of them gone, and they could be replacing them with Brandon Jones and maybe DeMar Hamlin, maybe somebody else. So yeah,
And, and
2022.
And also, you got Darren James contract who will be coming up in that 2022 class, and we
Yeah,
don't know if San Diego is going to extend him just because of all the injuries. And also, you can sign Justin Simmons this year as well if you wanted to move on from Bobby McCain or Eric Rowe, because he's
Definitely. We had a few questions from the comments here. Alex here from the network. Shout out to Alex. I think the Bengals throw the bag at Miami. That's a very good possibility. I mean, they need a left tackle, and obviously you want to protect Joe Burrow, your franchise quarterback. So what do you guys think about that?
yeah. One thing I like to do is I like to read like you've heard about Dolphins Twitter. Well, I like to go look on Bengals Twitter, and I like to read what all their beat writers are talking about, and they're absolutely in love with Penny Sewell. They want to pair him with Joe Burrow and call that the building blocks of their franchise. So yeah, why not? Like if they're bidding, we're taking.
and another team that people keep overlooking is the Jets. The Jets can take Penei Sewell like too.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They have two bookend tackles for whoever the quarterback is from this year on beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody brought up a point that DeAndre Swift was still on the board last year when the Dolphins took Noah at pick 30. You think they might have a little buyer's remorse on that and maybe reach for a running back a little bit?
Well, I think last we talked about this also on the pod. Eric Studsville last year, I know for a fact he thought that J.K. Dobbins was the best of the group,
And he was.
and Eric Studsville when he went to the combine, he took J.K. Dobbins to the side and spoke to him for almost 2 hours, and then J.K. Dobbins decided not to work out. Nobody knows what was said, but it was obvious that Eric Studsville liked him. Eric Studsville also worked out Jonathan Taylor. Okay. So, and it was rumored that he also liked Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He liked
So
that running back group last year,
he likes smaller
and they
backs
didn't
too.
and they didn't take any of them. So maybe, remember, he got promoted. Now he's an OC. Maybe they're going to make it up for him this year. They're going to say, "Look, you get to pick your guy to run the ball." Since last year we didn't get you your guy, and you seem to have been right. You can't argue with his picks last year. He liked those three running backs. All three were pretty good.
Well, it just depends because Igbenogany is a guy he's a project guy because he has a high ceiling. He's a 4-3 guy, physical. Devontae Smith said he was the best corner that he played against in college, and that's very high praise coming from him. So I think Igbenogany struggled a little bit last year. He struggled a lot, not a little.
Oh, we
To
lost chocolate. There you go.
oh, we just have to see, but I don't know if you go back because you have to see how it plays out. Everybody feel like the running back position is extinct, but I didn't like what Miami did at running back this year. We added a bunch of guys who were not. I thought Breida was going to be more of an impact than they did, but I'm in agreement with you. I think they give him a chance this year. Hey, which back do you like? And judging by the backs that what he seems to like, he likes guys in the 5'10" range. So I think ETN may be more favored over Najee Harris for Miami and Javonte Williams as well. He fits that mold with the J.K. Dobbins. Michael Carter from UNC fits that role as well. So we'll see. It's a good running back class. It's not deep as it was last year. Last year you got four guys who went in the top 50 who probably going to be starters for the next 3 to 4 years. But I just think Miami missed because I think they should have called Minnesota and the Saints when they were having the contract disputes with both backs.
Well, speaking of the Saints, we got a question here about Marshawn Lattimore and the Saints. That's an interesting dynamic there because the Saints are like $60 million or something over the salary cap. Not really sure what they're going to do there exactly. Is that somebody that could be a possibility?
I don't think so because the Saints have already come out and said that he's a priority, which means you got to look at that offensive line. And there could be some guys that could shake loose from that offensive line, and those are the guys you have to go after.
Ramczyk.
Yeah, Ramczyk especially. So I think, I think Marshawn Lattimore, of course, it'd be a nice get, but I wouldn't think he shakes loose.
No,
he would be really expensive, by the way.
Yeah, and plus you still got to give him a contract, so it's kind of like unless like you really going backwards because like Marshawn is better than Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, but you'll be going backwards at that point because you're giving out another contract for a corner. But no, I think that the guys who Miami should target from the Saints is the O-line, Ramczyk. I don't know if they let Armstead go. It just depends. If I don't see that happening, but Ramczyk. Maybe if you can even get Ruiz from last year, who I know Miami really liked at the center position. So we just have to see because they're cash strapped, so they're gonna let some people go on the defense, but it's not gonna be him though.
Yeah, and with the salary cap and everything like that too, there's going to be a lot of above average players that might not have been on the bubble before that are going to be in that position, so where they may be finding new homes. So
yeah, and let me just say one thing about Aaron Jones. There could be a situation where personally I do think that this is real. Okay, like all the rumors, I think they're real. I think they would be interested at the right number. There could come a time, and Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk talked about it. He says that he doesn't buy that $15 million a year thing. That he thinks is more like 11. If it's more like 11, you almost can't say no.
I think he's in the same position Melvin Gordon was in. And I think Melvin kind of shot himself in the foot because Miami wanted him, but the numbers was too high for them. But Aaron Jones at $11.5 million per year, that's kind of like you got to give him that. That's
you just got to give it to him.
Yeah,
that will put him below Dalvin Cook. It'll put him below Derrick Henry.
Which is where he's at. He's a top 8 running back in the league. Yeah. Give him that money,
Yeah, like at that point, I think you just do it.
And he fits and he wants to be here too. So those things do matter, and all things being equal.
And his agent wants him here, Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections. There's a lot of stuff under the surface. Obviously, there's a lot of subterfuge and smoke and mirrors this time of year. And the Dolphins obviously are pretty tight with a lot of these things. So you take some swings and misses in terms of speculating on what they're going to do, which makes it obviously for interesting conversation, and it helps us always have something to talk about, which is great. But we got about 90 seconds to go here. I want to wrap things up real quick. We had mentioned on Twitter I've got a giveaway today for a Precious Achiuwa rookie card. Got this card right here, Panini Instant 1 of 110. So I wanted to give this away to somebody that tweeted us out, and the winner that was selected today was Brandon Shelton. So check your DMs, Brandon, if you're watching, and I'll get this card out to you. So just wanted to thank everybody who tweeted that out, and we're going to have a ton more giveaways. So want to get you guys parting thoughts here, about 30 seconds or so each. So for the Dolphins, Tua, obviously, he's going to be a big focal point. So Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson? If the trade packages were equal and you had a shot at both, who would you take? Al?
If the trade packages are equal, you have to take Deshaun Watson. He's the younger player, But
yeah, or even competitive. Is there any scenario that you would take Russell Wilson over Watson?
If he's a lot cheaper, that's the only way. Because he is older. I like him. Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Everybody's talking about he didn't have a great year. He had 40 touchdown passes last year, 4,200 yards, 105 quarterback rating. He was really, really, really good. But Deshaun Watson is just a much younger player. You take Deshaun Watson.
John, what do you think? I mean, is Russell Wilson even in the discussion, or is it Watson or Tua, and
Well,
that's it?
they're like I said on Twitter in the chat, they're both in the same position because they want the same thing. They're both having rifts about power. One, two, they're both having no trade clause, so they're in control of whatever they want. But now I think it's the hardball thing. Now, if the packages are equal as Watson all day, but I feel like those guys can leverage wherever they want to go because if they start leaking reports like, oh, hey, I'm not playing unless this and that, then the Dolphins can just say, okay, I want this guy. Watson puts you in a long-term situation to win right now. But then again, I think Russell Wilson can play till he's 40, 43, So it's Watson for me. Russell Wilson, the only way is that they only have to give up pick 18 and something less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with the situation there, it's kind of just a wait because the leverage obviously is going to continue to shift. So it's going to be a real interesting 3-4 weeks here. But I have a feeling the Dolphins are going to stick with Tua. So I'm just going to leave it at that for my thoughts. So what do you guys think? You think the Dolphins stick with Tua in the long run?
Yeah, I think so. I think because I think Houston's going to play chicken for an entire year, and I think that's going to play right into the Dolphins' hands because the Dolphins are going to get a long look at Tua this year, and if they think, okay, he's not all that, they could revisit Deshaun Watson next offseason. Because I think Houston's going to try to play the long game. They know they're not winning anything this year, so I think they're going to try to face down Deshaun Watson for this season. And if Deshaun Watson holds true to what he says, they'll trade him next offseason. And the Dolphins could be right there, right again to go get him.
Correct. I agree with Alpha on that. Also, Houston can play that game just so they can get the number one pick. And now hey, I can easily move on from Deshaun Watson. Now they don't have I think the Watson trade
There we go.
would have happened if they had the third pick this year. Like if they had number 3 pick, they would have traded Watson because it'd have been like, okay, I can get my quarterback of choice. Right now, they ain't getting no quarterback of choice. They just
Yeah, they take what they get and they like it. But we're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank Alfredo Arteaga for taking the time to join us, and of course my partner in crime, Jakari Givens. And we're gonna be back on Tuesday with some more Heat talk from everything going on. Big game tonight with the Heat and Jazz. We didn't have a chance to talk about the Heat today, but
my sports book. My bookie. I'm sorry. Heat run line tonight +7. Take it.
Take it and run. Yeah, I don't know. Utah, took it behind the woodshed last time, so I think Miami's going to be motivated for this one too. So it'll be a lot of coverage on the network to tune into 5 on the Floor. And Alfredo, before we go, tell everybody where they can find you on social and everything.
You can find our podcast at 3 yards per carry. That's the number 3 yards per carry, and myself, Alf_Arteaga.
All right, and Jakari, give him your handle.
King Jock 24.
And until it's retired. And I'm David W. Eversole. You can find me on Twitter, and you can find us on Instagram at MIA Sports Break. And want to thank everybody for joining. We'll see you guys next week.